There is no use lying anymore.
And you're like her guardian. The absolute murder weapon.
You found it.
Even the secret area that has been created here is not concealed enough to stop Detective Hercule Poirot.
I couldn't just leave it at the scene for you to find.
The Major was killed by his own knife. The knife that protected his life during the war would eventually be the one that ended it.
It was in his holster when he attacked her. He had hold of her arm. What else was she meant to use to get him off of her?
He attacked her? Are you a witness in this? He attacked her. Why? So you mean to say that she killed her? She killed him because of self-defense? Is this really the case, guys? I cannot imagine the Major would have given his knife up so easily. She must have been in close proximity to reach it. Perhaps he did attack her, as she claims?
She didn't
I don't know.
plan any of it, Detective. She was only defending herself.
But why would the Major attack her?
That
Why?
is what Mademoiselle told you?
She did, and I believe her. You think you knew the Major, but you had no idea. He was a monster and had more secrets than all of us combined.
That may be true, but that does not excuse what she has done.
Put yourself in her shoes for a minute. If a man like that had attacked me the way he did Lizzie, I would have done a lot worse to him.
Mademoiselle Elizabeth has told Monsieur Sterling a version of the events that suggests she was attacked by the Major. I struggle to believe that she would make such a story up, but then I also did not believe she could do such a thing as commit murder. He attacked her? I wonder why. What is the reasoning behind it?
I need a moment.
Very long moment. Okay, we have one more connection here. Open window. Archibald was in the garden. Open window is not linked up yet. Do I need to connect the open window one?
The pieces of the puzzle are finally come.
If the only thing I found was Archibald's lighter, he must have collected something else. What else did Archibald collect from the garden? He also collected the knife, the murder weapon.
I should not be surprised by my own skills of deduction.
So she dropped the murder weapon out the window. Archibald dropped the murder weapon from the window, collected it, and then hid it in the secret room. He dropped it himself? So careless of him, guys. Okay, Archibald again.
There is no use lying anymore.
It was you that I saw in the garden that night.
When you asked me yesterday about seeing someone out there, I thought the game was up.
The dark shadow walking around the fountain, guys. That's Archibald.
That does not explain what you were doing out there.
When Lizzie took me to the study, the knife was still in the Major's chest, and I knew I had to get rid of it. I dropped it out of the window, knowing no one would be going outside. It was fine for the time being, but I couldn't risk it being found when the snow melted.
But the thing is, you did not close the window. Wouldn't be wiser if you close the window after you drop the knife?
So you collected it under the cover of darkness and stowed it away in here where you thought no one would find it.
After your questioning in the pantry, I knew you were onto something, and I couldn't leave it here.
I found it interesting that Elizabeth actually led Archibald to the body, guys. She led him to the body.
And where did you plan on moving it to?
Honestly, I don't know.
Collecting the item and hiding it to save Elizabeth, he must truly want to protect her from the law. Objective complete. Okay. So, new dialogue? if Archibald.
There is no use lying anymore.
I have one last question. Why? Is she your daughter? Are you two related?
Why what? Why I would risk everything to help Lizzie?
Is she related to you?
Exactement.
Because she is family.
Family.
If you were in that position, you would do the same.
You are her father?
I can assure you, monsieur, that I would not.
Then perhaps that says something about you, Detective. I would do anything for her. For any of my staff.
Or are you just referring to your staff member's family? I don't know.
Even if it means crossing the boundaries of the law.
Without question.
A good boss? Not so sure. The lengths of the Monsieur Sterling would go to protect someone he considers family is admirable, but when those lengths break the very laws that are in place to protect the innocent, they cannot be ignored. I ask that once your morning duties for the ladies of the house are complete, Mademoiselle Rihanna and yourself wait in the staff quarters.
Aye, Detective. But please, you have to help Lizzie. It was all an accident. She doesn't deserve to spend the rest of her days behind bars because of that man.
If she is put behind bars, it is because that is what the courts have decided upon.
Detective, you can't be so cruel.
It is not cruelty, monsieur. It is the law.
And we don't know if it is an accident or not, guys. After all these further revelations, my mind is as busy as Monsieur Gourlet's chocolate shop. I have all of the pieces of the puzzle to deduce why Elizabeth killed the Major. Now I must allow my little glaze cells to put them together on the mind map. Hope you guys don't mind me spending a lot of time here again. Man, this chapter is all mind maps. After finding all those documents in the hidden room, things are starting to fall into place as to why Elizabeth may have killed him. Isn't that obvious, guys? Because Luke died in the riot. Died in a strike. And the strike happened because of the Major. Isn't this obvious? Is this not obvious enough? Okay, so 2 connections. Oh, we got a hint. Thank you very much. Major was in a bad financial state. He is not receiving a pension.
Magnifique.
The Major's financial struggles must have left him in the need for a source of income. Who could the Major have turned to in his time of need? Rene Bosch? Or the Silver for the job, security job? Security. Ernesto, right there.
I should not be surprised by my own skills.
The Major needed the job to go ahead. It was the only way to guarantee money in his pocket. What could he do to ensure the job would be complete? He built his own militia.
I must act on thought.
The Major needed to ensure the job was done. Security attack first.
Some would say a lucky guess. I would say a moment of genius.
The unforeseen incidents. To secure his payment, the Major must have ordered the attack and the strikes. What were the consequences of the Major ordering the first attack? Luke died in the incident.
Things are beginning to become clearer.
It is already clear. It's very clear, guys. But is that we just need to do all these connections. Major's actions unfortunately led to the death of Luke, and all for greed. Who would have been most affected by this? Elizabeth. We know this already. Elizabeth.
What a revelation!
Not really. She has probably lost more than anyone else involved. She may have sought her revenge. Elizabeth was possibly seeking revenge. Now, can I connect these two?
Is there something I am not seeing? Come, my little grey cells.
I need a hint. Come on, show me a hint. Oh, we got one here. Major paid a blackmail ransom. The Major killed prisoners of war. Oh, that's his secret, right.
Another success. I never doubted myself.
This information would have destroyed his reputation if he unveiled a strong motive for blackmail. Elizabeth doesn't seem like the vengeful type, but all signs are pointing to her seeking revenge for her beloved Luke. But is that really the case? If I'm to confront Mademoiselle Elizabeth, I must be at my best and my little Grace house at the most alert. It is time to at least try and rest. Oh boy. Have no time to wallow in my lack of sleep. I must confront Mademoiselle Elizabeth and hopefully finally know the truth of what took place. The question is why...
Detective Poirot, I'm glad you're awake.
Yeah, why did the Major attack Elizabeth first?
Bonjour, mademoiselle. It has certainly not been a night of peaceful sleep. There is something that we must discuss.
Please, Detective, I'm not sure I can take any more surprises like last night.
I'm afraid this may be the most upsetting of them all.
You have found Felix's killer, haven't you?
I have. And the guilty party will certainly come as a shock.
I take no great pleasure in telling you this, Mademoiselle.
Detective, please.
It was Mademoiselle Elizabeth that was behind the Major's death.
You must be mistaken. Elizabeth could not do such a thing.
I assure you I am not. It is something I spent much of last night deliberating. When you spoke of the telephone lines being out of order, it made me question the conversation I thought I had heard Monsieur Sterling make with the Major before connecting the call to him.
But it hasn't been working all weekend.
Exactement, mademoiselle. That is when I knew I had once again been lied to.
On my way to speaking with Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna, I met Mademoiselle Elizabeth.
She was meant to be resting in the staff quarters. She has not been well.
I am afraid that was yet another lie, orchestrated to keep her from incriminating herself.
Why would you think that, Detective?
I only managed a few words with her before we were quite abruptly interrupted by Monsieur Sterling.
I must admit, he has a habit of speaking over the other staff.
It was much more than merely disturbing our conversation. It was done with the intention to prevent Mademoiselle saying something that she should not.
So, Elizabeth killed Felix, and then Archibald helped her cover it up?
In its simplest form, oui. I have heard it directly from the horse's mouth.
You have spoken with Elizabeth already? Did she admit to it?
Not Elizabeth, but Monsieur Sterling.
Were you not woken last night by the tremendous amount of noise coming from the storage room?
I wasn't. What were you doing in there, Detective?
It was Monsieur Sterling that I found in there. I was taken by some surprise to hear anyone awake at that hour.
What on earth was he doing?
He claimed he was merely reminiscing of his time with the family.
You don't believe him?
It did not take long for me to uncover the truth of why he was there, and the location of the Major's murder weapon.
And did you know of the hidden area within the storage room?
Hidden area?
A room that held all of the Major's secrets.
I had no idea. Did you discover the reason for his blackmail?
I did. Were you aware he was dishonorably discharged from the army?
Dishonorably? What does that mean?
I will not hide the truth from Mademoiselle, but I will try and be best, or be as delicate as possible with the news of the Major's prior actions.
Yes, Gideon told me about the conversation you had. It is really quite upsetting.
Zachariah was adamant of the Major's cruelty during the war, but the extent was not known until now. He killed a number of prisoners, men that were friends of Zachariah.
Surely not. He would not do such a thing. They must have been trying to escape.
I am afraid not. They were in fact unarmed.
Oh, Detective.
It is the reason he was discharged, denied his military pension, and I believe the reason he fled England.
He had been such an important part of my life for so long, but I feel like I hardly knew him.
Is this the right time to tell the truth, guys? That the Major is Her father, guys. She still doesn't know about this. She doesn't know about her real connection with the Major. Anyway, Major Sterling was a demon of Mademoiselle Elizabeth's innocence.
Innocence? You said it was she that killed him.
It was her hand that held the knife, but he was quite insistent it happened in self-defense.
In all of the years I have known her, she has barely even raised her voice. I cannot believe she would do something like that out of malice.
The whole truth cannot be known until Mademoiselle Elizabeth has told her story.
I allow my perception of her character to conceal any thought of her involvement. It seems I'm not the only one. The time has come to confront Mademoiselle Elizabeth.
Will you allow me to be present?
I think that is an excellent idea. I hope your presence will calm her and will perhaps allow her to speak more freely.
Please, detective. I know she has done a terrible thing, but I beg of you to give her the time to explain herself.
I will offer Mademoiselle Elizabeth the fair trial that she deserves, as I would with any suspect.
Thank you, Detective Poirot.
Would you bring Mademoiselle Elizabeth to the study, where we will not be disturbed?
Of course, I'll find her immediately.
I believe what Monsieur Sterling has already told me about the events that occurred between Mademoiselle Elizabeth and the Major. I do not believe she would have had to do what she did if he had not attacked her and pushed her to the point where she feared for her life. I must listen to her story, the truth, and only then can her punishment be determined.
Mademoiselle Elizabeth, merci for joining us.
Miss Angeline said you requested to see me urgently.
We have some serious matters to discuss, and I would like to waste no further time.
Oh, yes, Detective.
How are you feeling, Mademoiselle?
Still not quite myself.
I was surprised when Monsieur Sterling hurried you to assist Madame Vandenbosch last night.
I should not have avoided my duties for so long. The house does not stop because I'm feeling a little under the weather.
That is true, but you cannot be expected to complete all your tasks if you are not in the right frame of mind.
Honestly, Detective, it was best for me to not sit and wallow anymore.
My investigation has taken me down many paths this weekend.
Have you been able to uncover who the blackmailer is?
The blackmailer's identity has been established, and they will pay the price for their crimes.
Wonderful news, Detective. You can put it all behind you now. You must be thrilled.
I would not say thrilled, knowing that such a close friend has betrayed us.
Mademoiselle is correct. What I have learned over this weekend is that people are not always as they appear. While they may give an impression of being a friend or ally, they can in fact be something completely different.
And, what of the Major's killer?
Well, Mademoiselle, that is why I have asked you here now.
I posed a question to all of the guests and what their thoughts on the Major were. Now I extend the question to you.
I'm not quite sure what you want me to say, Detective.
Your honest opinion is all I ask, and, s'il te plaît, do not hold back. No one else felt it necessary.
We only spoke when there was something in the house to be done. We did not speak of interests or pastimes.
You knew of his work with Monsieur de Silva?
I only know what is required of me to know, and that is very little.
But you were aware of his work as security at Monsieur de Silva's factory.
I was.
The factory your beloved Luke worked at, before he was cruelly taken from this world.
Yes, Detective.
I understand Luke was not only involved in the strikes, but was on the front line.
Yes, that is where he spent his last moments. Standing shoulder to shoulder with his fellow workers.
The resulting riots were a terrible tragedy. One that I hope we will not have to see or experience again. Something that could have been avoided had the Major and his team done what was required of them.
Nobody deserved to die that day. Not my Luke.
Do you blame the Major for his death?
Detective, what kind of question is that?
It is a straightforward one.
He...
Mademoiselle, if there is something you wish to tell me, now is that time.
I'm sorry, Detective, I just don't know how to answer it.
Let us consider what we know of the Major. He fronted the militia that attacked the workers at the strike. You were aware of this? You finally had someone to blame for Luke's death. Someone conveniently located in the same house, alone in his study.
No, Detective. It wasn't like that.
Tell me what happened with the Major on the evening of his death.
I was only in here trying to prove what I heard Mr. Beckers say. I was going to report him, I swear. Miss Angeline, you believe me, don't you?
I want to. I am still trying to understand it all myself. Why don't you start from the beginning?
I was delivering Miss Angeline's dress to her room when I heard Mr. Beckers arguing with the Major in his study. They were ever so loud. I thought the whole house would have been listening to what they were saying. Mr. Beckers was talking about the factory strikes and how it was the Major's fault. He told him that if he didn't own up to his crimes, he would go to the newspapers.
I cannot imagine the Major would have taken kindly to Monsieur Becker's threat.
He didn't. He called him some rather uncouth names before Mr. Beckers left and went downstairs. I made sure to keep out of sight. After the altercation between the Major and Master Gideon, you went to speak with him outside, and I thought I could look around his study without anyone knowing. I had to know for sure. If it was true, he deserved to be held accountable.
And did you find the proof you are looking for?
I found a payment from Mr. De Silva, but there was nothing incriminating about that. I was so nervous. I felt like my heart was beating out of my chest.
And then you saw the blackmail note.
I recognized the writing on the envelope. I couldn't believe it. How could he do such a thing to Angeline? To the family that had taken him in?
Common sense would determine the Major was another victim of the blackmailer.
If I'd have used common sense, I wouldn't have been snooping around alone in his study in the first place. I heard the footsteps in the hall, and before I could move, the Major was standing in front of me, demanding to know why I was going through his belongings without permission. I tried to come up with an excuse, but nothing came out, and when he saw the letter in my hand, it was like Dr. Jekyll turning into Mr. Hyde.
And we can see his knife.
I tried to move around him towards the door, but he hurled something towards me, and it crashed against the wall.
That would explain the damage to the wall.
Oh, right. The mark on the wall.
I froze. I have never been so scared in all my life. I thought he was going to kill me there and then.
And you thought you would beat him to it?
Oh, Detective, you make it sound as though I had it all planned. He lunged forward and grabbed me by the arm. I tried to push him away, but he was too strong. His grip just got tighter and tighter. If only you had seen the look in his eyes, I dared not even scream. I saw the sheath on his belt. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to hurt him, but he wouldn't let go of me.
So you took your opportunity to put an end to it all.
I just wanted to get him off me. I didn't want to hurt him. I reached for it and I jabbed it at him. His grip instantly loosened and I ran straight out the door and didn't look back.
You did not even look to see what state you had left him in?
She had just been attacked, Detective.
Oui, please. Continue.
I ran down to the pantry looking for Rahana. She took one look at me and knew something was wrong. I explained to her what had happened and she went to find Archie. She said he would know what to do. We went back to the study and he was still lying there, motionless. Archie said that no one would believe me. That if someone like me killed someone like him, I would be sent straight to the gallows. He left the letter so you would find it. He said that if people knew what the Major was really like, then they wouldn't care what happened to him.
So I am to believe that it was Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna that cleaned the scene and orchestrated a plan that included a fake telephone call and dressing as the Major so that he may be seen. You had nothing to do with that.
I swear I had no idea that is what they had done. Archie just told me to stay out of sight. I am no master criminal.
Then Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna will be charged for obstruction of justice and impeding my investigation.
Please, Detective, they were only trying to help me.
If they wished to help you, they should have brought all of this to my attention immediately instead of committing more illegal acts.
Surely you haven't forgotten what happened with Florette. She was only accused of stealing a bracelet. I killed a man.
It is a day I have not forgotten, mademoiselle. Even for a moment.
Without your help, I don't stand a chance. Please, Detective Poirot, you are the only one that can help me.
Oh, Elizabeth, why didn't you come to me?
I didn't think you would believe me. I felt so guilty. And when it was announced yesterday that he was a victim of the blackmailer, I wanted to tell you everything. I came to find you last night, Detective, but Archie stopped me. I'm sorry.
Come, my little grey cells, let us solve the mystery. Are there things that are unsolved right now? I guess going back to the mind map then. So, what happened to her is unfortunate, guys, but... I don't know. Wish I can help her, but... I think we have to do what is right. Okay, one connection. What is it? Items. Who? The only thing that is left. Oh, this one, guys. Defensive strike. Connect this two, and then we connect the motive.
The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together.
Elizabeth's story confirms Margot's claim. The Major's death was a result of a defensive strike. Finally, I have solved the case of the Major's murder, I must admit. I take no joy in declaring Mademoiselle Elizabeth the killer, and I wish she had never been put in such a position at all. Objective complete. It's done. Okay, let's go talk to them.
Yes, of course, Detective.
We do have to report this to the authorities, guys. There's no choice. There's no choice.
Pardonnez-moi for a moment, mademoiselle.
Leave it to the courts to decide on her fate. That's the right thing to do.
Oh, yes, Detective.
The Major's missing knife?
I don't know where it is.
If you have been honest with me until now, I ask that you continue.
I'm sorry, I really don't know. Archie dropped it out of the study window and he said he would deal with it. I couldn't bear to touch the thing.
I have the knife in my possession, and I believe that from Mademoiselle's reaction, she does not know what became of it. She is unaware of the efforts that Monsieur Sterling and Mademoiselle Rihanna went to mask what she had done. Monsieur Sterling was not lying when he said he would do anything for her. Mercy, Mademoiselle. Sur le plan, wait in my room.
Please, I was only protecting myself. I didn't want to hurt him. He just wouldn't let me go.
Oui, mademoiselle. I know. Mademoiselle tells quite the harrowing story.
I cannot imagine the Major acting in such a way. But Elizabeth could not make up such a story.
After learning what I have about the Major's character this weekend, I would not question the lengths he would go to in order to keep his secret hidden. I know that you share a close bond with Mademoiselle Elizabeth, but you cannot allow your personal feelings to taint your belief of what took place.
She has committed a terrible crime, but she will live with that for the rest of her life. She is not a cold-blooded killer.
If what she says of the Major's attack is true, she acted in self-defense. And in the law's eyes, a crime has not been committed.
Yeah, leave it to the courts. They will decide on her fate.
I will do everything I can to make sure her story is heard and a fair trial is conducted.
I believe the version of events that Mademoiselle Elizabeth has confessed to are true. The Major, having fallen into a fit of rage at the prospect of his sordid secrets coming to light, he attacked the young Mademoiselle and drove her to do what she had to protect herself. She put herself in a dangerous position, but there is a small part of me that commends the duty that she felt to find justice for her beloved, and the other workers that lost their lives in the Major's order. If the telephone line is now working, must call in my findings. With the remaining snow, it may still be some time before they arrive.
Mademoiselle, it is time I address the house.
Are you sure? What will you say? What if they do not listen?
I can assure you, They will.
Elizabeth was right, though. She's just a servant. What if they...
Mademoiselle, when Detective Poirot speaks, they will listen. Would you ask the guests to convene in the library?
Of course. And what of the staff?
I have told Monsieur Sterling to remain in the staff quarters with the others. When the authorities arrive, they shall be dealt with. You have been of great help to me throughout my investigation. And now that it is over, I have one final request.
You only need to ask.
While I am speaking with the guests in the library, would you watch over Mademoiselle Elizabeth in my room?
You don't think she will try and escape, do you?
In her position, I do not know what she might try. But I trust with you there, any potential ideas of such a thing will be squashed.